You know we need this money, and yes baby, you should just roll with me. Let's go off together on this robbing spree. We'll make money. Player.
What's good, everybody? It's your brother Mad Black, the most dangerous and the most toxic black man on the internet. The brother who told you not to be out here holding your congregation hostage, but you did it anyway, and now your ass is being exposed as a greedy bastard. And I am black up in your face again with some more pro-black commentary. So you all know that when I talk about these church swindlers and scumbags, I love to play that hardcore thuggin' hip-hop music. If you are unaware of what happened, Marvin Sapp basically told his congregation that while he was doing a sermon, that he was going to hold them there until he got a certain amount of money while they were doing the offering. He even went as far as to tell the ushers to go to the back of the church and make sure that they close the doors so that no one can leave. And he told not only his congregation that was in attendance, but he told the ones that were watching online that they had to give a certain amount of money. And, the video was put out there and it went viral. And now the Negro is basically doing all types of explaining and trying to play down what happened, saying it was not him holding his congregation for ransom, more or less that he was, just trying to keep everybody safe while that amount of money was being passed around. And I'm going to talk about his little excuse in a little bit, but let's play the actual audio first so you folks can hear it and you be the judge as to what's going on here. Now, he's making it seem as if this clip was taken out of context and people only posted a little bit of it. So that's why people think he's being a terrorist, basically, holding people for hostage and kidnapping people. But he says that that's not what's going on and this was all taken out of context. I'm going to let you guys hear the audio. I'm not going to play the video, but you guys can listen here and you be the judge as to what's going on in this situation. So let me cue it up here and let's play what Marvin Sapp has to say. And the caption says, Marvin Sapp to congregation, no one leaves until we get 40K. Ushers close the doors. So let's listen to what Marvin Sapp has to say in this situation.
Understand the cost that is involved. There's 1,000 of you. I said close them doors. Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors. It's 1,000 that's watching online. This is a small seed. If I get 1,000 online to give this, if I get 1,000 in the sanctuary to give this, that's $40,000 tonight. Now, everyone up here, we've all sold and seeded, but I need everyone standing up here with us, with me, to plant a seed of $100. Because again, it costs to sit up here. And this is what I need you to do. If you're giving electronically, or even if you're giving tangibly, I'm going to have y'all come to the altar and give it, because I need to see 1,000 people moving. Bring them baskets. I want the baskets up here. I want to see the folk. Y'all start moving. Y'all can bring it right now. Come. 1,000 people need to give $20. 1,000 people need to give $20. 1,000 people online need to give $20. This is easy, saints. And
So that was the audio, and we're gonna play it again, but that's just, I want to play it uninterrupted so you guys can hear what's going on there. And it's interesting to me when you have these people who claim to be messengers of God, but often they always prove that they are only there to fleece their congregation of money, and that money is for themselves. It's not for the church, and it's not for any type of charity. It's always just to suck money out of the people and put into their own pockets. And it's interesting to me that black people don't seem to understand. Well, it's not just black people, but black people are, let me say this, black people are the ones that get the most attention for this, and we are the ones that are openly hardcore about this, because there are white churches like this as well, but they don't get the same scrutiny as a lot of black people do. And these black pastors are so flamboyant, acting like pimps themselves. It's easy to see how black people get showcased in these types of situations. But I noticed that with black people, it doesn't dawn on us, or the black people that go to these churches, it doesn't dawn on them that the pastor is getting wealthier and wealthier, and the congregation themselves are not doing any better financially. They always tell you that if you give generously, then you will be blessed. And they'll even lie to you and say, like, because they worked hard in the church or something like that, that's why they're gaining wealth. But the congregation, they're all in the same spot financially, if not doing worse, right? They're not blessed, but the blessing comes from the congregation, because the congregation is giving money to these pastors. It basically works like it's basically a MLM. It's basically a pyramid scheme. That's all these churches are modern day pyramid schemes. They tell you that you bring your money to me, and I'll pray for you, or I'll teach you something from the Bible, and that will help you gain wealth. But really, all the wealth is going to them, and that's the only direction it ever goes into. And to see like what's going on here with Marvin Sapp, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's a perversion of the Word of God. And I always tell you, like, these guys are in the most trouble when they go to the afterlife, when they actually have to stand in front of God and face Him. These knuckleheads are in the worst trouble. And I guess that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to live it up here, because they know when they have to stand in front of God and answer for what they've been doing, acting as a false prophet to fleece their congregation, they know they're going to hell, right? So, you got Negroes like Marvin Sapp sitting up there looking like the Don, demanding money from the people who are there for paying protection money, and you got these deacons behind him looking like the capital regime or the enforcers, basically like, nodding their heads and agreeing, because they're getting a cut of that money as well. And he literally locked the doors on these people. Now, I would not find myself in this type of situation to begin with, but if there's something crazy happen and I found myself in a church like this, I'm getting up and leaving. And if anyone stands in my way, that's going to be a problem. Okay? And you better be armed and ready to fight me to keep me in here. You're definitely not getting my money. Like, when I hear stuff like that, that makes me not want to give them anything. You see what I'm saying? So, nonsense like this is what makes sensible people, or people who can actually still think for themselves, not want to mess with the church. Because people with sense can see that it's all about taking money. And when Marvin Sapp gave his little excuses as to why he had to do this, the Negroes in the comments section were just going along with it. They just went ahead and believed it, because once again, all you got to do is put pastor in front of your name. All you got to do is put reverend in front of your name. And there's a lot of black people who will just believe whatever you say. Because like his basic excuse was, and thank you to the brother Justin Contrell, because he's the one that sent Marvin Sapp's excuse to me. Like, he found it on social media and he sent me the link. Thank you to that brother. He always sends me really good links. But Marvin Sapp's basic excuse was like, well, there is so much money being exchanged right then and there. I wanted to make sure the doors were closed so nothing would happen. Like, no one gets robbed, or no criminals come in. Of course, when you're stealing from the public, God forbid if some other criminals come in and steal from you, right? Like what's that scumbag's name? Lamar Whitehead, the one that's doing time right now. Remember when he got robbed in front of his congregation by the Hood Wolves? Marvin Sapp probably saw that and said, I don't want the same thing to happen to me. I can't have people stealing money from me while I'm stealing. So, you got to make sure to ward off those other criminal organizations while you're running your own criminal enterprise. Just like your typical drug dealer, you got to look out for the stick-up kids, right? You got to worry about the Omar Littles out there trying to rob you while you're doing a criminal enterprise of your own. And he also, of course, he went to the Bible. That Negroes always use the Bible to justify whatever trash they're doing, saying it was okay for him to ask for that amount of money from his congregation and making it seem like, it wasn't that big of a deal for him to say, like, we've all given this amount and it costs money to stand up here. Because, like, let's listen to this again. Let's listen to the audio again, because this is horrendous. The nonsense that he's saying is horrendous. Listen again to what he says here, and I'll pause it as we go through.
Understand the cost that is involved.
The cost that is involved. Now, it's not a spiritual cost. It's not a physical cost. It costs money. It costs money to be where they are. It costs money to listen to the word of God for some reason. You see what I'm saying? Just nonsense. And this is the shit that they peddle to people out here. Let's listen some more.
There's 1,000 of you. I said, close them doors. Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors.
Does that sound like he's telling them to close the doors to keep them safe? Is that what that sounds like to you? Does that sound like he's saying close the doors because he's afraid that someone might come in and take their money? No, it sounds like he's saying close the doors so they can't leave. It's like that scene out of A Bronx Tale where the bikers came into that Italian bar, and then the guy, he locks the door because the bikers were getting rowdy. He locks the door and says, now you just can't leave, right? Then the bikers wind up getting their asses whooped. But that's what it sounds like to me. That's what it looks like to me. Has nothing to do with I'm trying to protect my congregation. It sounds like you Negroes are going to stay here until you give me some money. Come up off that money. Even though it seems like in this situation, they already just got their tithes. They got their money, but they want more money. You see that? That's the crazy part is when they do stuff like this, when they come to these different churches and demand more money out of you. Like the money that you're giving is not enough, as if everyone out here is rich and can just afford to be throwing money at you, knowing how bad people are in this financial crisis. They just demand more and more and more. Scumbags. Listen some more.
Close the doors.
Close the door. He sounds like that. If everyone remembers this reference, that movie, what was it? Way of the Dragon with Bruce Lee, where he had the black guy doing like the extremely cliche voice. He tells him, close the door. And like he was doing what was the other thing he said about I want some Chinese spare ribs. Like that's what it sounds like to me when he said close the door. That some people might not know what I'm talking about, but if you're a kung fu movie fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about with that scene. But let's listen some more.
It's 1,000 that's watching online. This is a small seed. If I get 1,000 online to give this, if I get 1,000 in the sanctuary to give this, that's $40,000 tonight.
And there are Negroes watching this online who will give their money. I'd shut down my computer. I go turn on some devil music and rather listen to that than listen to this nonsense. At least I don't have to pay for that. Listen some more.
Now, everyone up here, we've all sowed and seeded, but I need everyone standing up here with me, to plant a seed of $100.
So they already gave money, and he wants them to give more money. And why do you want more money, Marvin Sapp? Listen here.
Because again, it costs to sit up here.
It costs money to sit up there in the pulpit. It costs money. These people are ridiculous, man. Like I said, you can't tell dumb Negroes anything. The Negroes that are in his congregation, they just believe whatever he says. Because once again, I told you when I went to the comments section of his little explanation, they just automatically believed it. And they just say, yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. And they're going to give him more money. So, anytime these fools expose themselves for what type of scumbags they are, you can't convince their congregation because their congregation is already brainwashed and it has nothing to do with God. Okay? What these Negroes talk about has nothing to do with God, because God doesn't need money. But no neck sweaty Negroes like Marvin Sapp, they need money. So they're going to do whatever they can to fleece their congregation. I swear, man, it's sickening when I see stuff like this. But you folks let me know how you feel about it in the comments section. I would love to hear what you all have to say about it. Anyway, Mad Black, and I will be back with my foot on the devil's back.